I now give the floor to Ms. Valérie Cabanes, expert on international law and human rights from France.
Thank you. We choose as the foundation of our society values and modes of functioning which are in contradiction to the principle of interdependence specific to life. We create laws to protect the environment as if the Earth's ecosystem was just external to us, independent, as if the health of our planet did not condition ours. Our Western ontology operates a separation between nature and culture, between wild spaces and humanized spaces. As anthropologist Philippe Descola explains, this distinction is ignored by other peoples, often indigenous, who consider that all beings, human, animal, or even inanimate, are subjects, endowed with interiority, and that all natural areas are inhabited places. They do not dissociate their ancestry, existence, and fate from all living things and the ecosystems in which they live. Rather, indigenous thought is closer to natural science in the sense that it understands nature as the whole of the systems and constituent elements of the living world, a tangible reality of which humanity is one of the components and whose science can study the laws. About 5 centuries before Christ, this way of viewing the world was already summarized by Lao Tzu, who described it as follows: the whole is more than the sum of its parts. In each ecosystem, each of the living components, regardless of its size, is essential to the functioning of the whole. This interaction and interdependence between natural spaces allow any system thus constituted to regulate itself without the need to bring in outside elements. But no system is provided fully autonomous. It remains dependent on the functioning of other systems that includes or which he himself belongs to. In other words, by looking through this lens, a different perspective and understanding of our world is exposed to us. Indeed, the Earth's ecosystems reveal itself as based on a complex set of exchanges subject to rules in an extremely delicate and fragile balance. We cannot look and tackle climate change without taking into account other ecological systems functioning. Our global ecosystem is in danger due to the excess release of green gas in the atmosphere, but also because of the massive pollution, rapid deforestation, soil degradation, overexploitation of fresh water, and the acidification of the ocean. And when the biosphere is damaged, its erosion impacts the climates. In this case, vegetation and soil no longer assume their critical role of direct climate control, in addition to carbon storage and recycling. Deforestation results in the permanent local disappearance of clouds and rain, the loss of marine plankton, jammed the carbon pump that is the ocean. So we are now engaged into a 6th mass extinction, jeopardizing the lives of generations to come. How have we come to this? Our millennium dream to be free of natural constraints and gravitate like above ground within a conceptual system that is only concerned about ourselves is leading us to our loss. Most of humanity seems to live disconnected from the matrix, unable to live in harmony with nature, unable to live in harmony with the few natural spaces that surround her, because the only eyes through which humans look at them are filled with greed. In the legal system in force in almost every country, nature is considered as a property. Something that is considered a property gives the owner the right to damage or destroy it. People and companies who own natural ecosystems are largely allowed to use them as they wish, even if it means the destruction of the health and well-being of nature. Moreover, since the rise of multinationals in the 70s, corporate law and the rules of global trade have tended to prevail more and more over human rights and have no respect for ecosystems. Our industrial activities are lacking a necessary and strong legal frame, the one that our planet offers to guarantee our security. Gold hour materialism has obviously reached its limits, those that Earth requires us to respect in order to let life continue. An international team of 26 researchers, led by Johan Rockstrom of the Stockholm Resilience Centre and Will Stephen of the Australian National University, identified in 2009 9 processes and systems regulating the stability and resilience of the Earth system, the interactions of land, the ocean, the atmosphere, and life, which together provide the conditions of existence upon which our societies rely. The threshold values were defined for each of these processes or systems, which limits must be not exceeded if humanity aspires to develop in a safe ecosystem that is avoiding the abrupt and hard-to-predict changes in the global environment. Climate change and the integrity of the biosphere, according to the scientists, are fundamental limits and interact with each other. Their crossing leads to a tipping point characterized by an irreversible process of extinction of species and catastrophic consequences for humanity. Now the team of Stephen and Roxham is putting more warning about the fact that since 2015, other limits, in addition to climate change and biodiversity loss, are exceeded. These are the land system change, flows of biochemical cycles like nitrogen and phosphorus, especially in the soil, the use of fresh water, ocean acidification, depletion of the ozone layer, atmospheric aerosols, and chemical pollutions are limits that we should be careful not to cross. And they too are related, which means that the transgression of one of them may increase the chance to get closer to other limitations. I want to emphasize the fact that the Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, spoke at the 2011 General Assembly about planetary boundaries as a tool for scientific measurement. Addressing world leaders, he said, "Use every ounce of your experience, skills, and influence to advance action on climate change. Help us to defend the science that shows we are destabilizing our climate and stretching planetary boundaries to a perilous degree." This statement was then supported by the UN High-Level Panel on Global Sustainability, who recognized the concept of planetary boundaries as a relevant framework to determine and measure the objectives of sustainable development. But I believe that we should go further. We should elevate planetary boundaries to legal standards, which would help regulating industrial activities and evolve the law to a better ecosystemic approach by recognizing our interdependence with the Earth system in order for us to live in harmony with nature. Anthropocentrism law is one of the main causes today of the ecological and climate crisis. It is time to rethink our role within the wider community woven by relationships between species and ecosystems that support life, and adjust our law and governance according to rules and limits of Mother Earth. Another challenge is to find a way to integrate and reconcile the respective rights of all species and life components, and to find out how to respect them under human laws. We cannot survive without guaranteeing to other species and living systems their right to exist and thrive. In 1972, the year of the first Earth Summit, the lawyer Christopher Stone, concerned about the preservation of a redwood forest, threatened by a project of the Walt Disney Company, wondered, should trees have standing? He proposed a new legal approach by granting rights to the natural environment as a whole and appointing a guardian or representative to the natural object, while also becoming a guardian for future generations. Today, the necessity to recognize the inherent value of non-human beings to solve the ecological crisis has been understood by many countries and municipalities who have already recognized the rights of nature in their constitutional local legislation. This legal approach was first adopted by countries with large indigenous communities. As you heard today, in Latin America, Ecuador was the first country to recognize the rights of nature in its constitution in 2008. Then Bolivia in 2010 in a law annexed to its constitution entitled Law of Mother Earth's Rights. In Ecuador, judgments show us the way in the application of these rights. 25 trials were conducted in the interest of natural elements since 10 years, and 21 were won. Since then, the necessity to recognize the inherent value of non-human beings to solve the crisis has spread all over the world, not only in countries where you have indigenous people very active and present. In 2017, Mexico City recognized the rights of nature in its new constitution. In Brazil, municipality of Bonito proceeded with an amendment to its organic law in this direction, followed by the municipality of Paudalho in 2018. More than 30 cities in the US voted new charters recognizing the rights of nature in more than a decade. You heard this morning the case, the last and the most recently case of the city of Toledo in Ohio, who voted in February 2019 by referendum in favor of a bill recognizing the rights of Lake Erie to exist, flourish, and evolve naturally. Beyond its symbolic significance, this referendum also has a legal significance. By giving legal rights to the lake, the people of Toledo can take legal actions against polluters in the name of the lake. Parliaments and judges also adjudicate in a targeted manner on endangered and iconic ecosystems in their territory. It was the case in July 2014 in New Zealand, where a law was passed recognizing the Te Urewewa National Park, the ancestral territory of the tribe Tuwawe Marui, as a legal entity with all the rights, powers, duties, and responsibilities of a corporation. Then in 2017, the New Zealand Parliament signed various agreements with other Maori tribes and clans which recognize the Wanganui River and Mount Taranaki as living and legal entities. You heard also this morning how in India it's going very fast, leading the judgment of the High Court of the state of Uttarakhand in northern India, which recognized a few days after New Zealand the Ganges and the Yamuna, its tributary, living entities, and gave them a legal personality. In the second judgment, it also recognized as legal subjects all Himalayan ecosystem on its territory, the Gangotri and Yamunotri glaciers, threatened by climate change, but also rivers, streams, lakes, springs, valleys, jungles, forests, and beyond even the air. In 2018, then, it recognized the rights of the animal kingdom, aquatic and avian included. Avian means birds. And these decisions had a snowball effect at national and regional level. On May 4th, 2017, a special one-day session of the Assembly of Madhya Pradesh State adopted a resolution declaring the Narmada River as a living entity, saying that the river is the state's lifeline. In Bangladesh, then on January 30, 2019, the High Court granted the Turag River the status of a legal person to protect it from encroachment and declared that this status will be applicable to all rivers in the country. But it's true that where judges seem most innovative was probably in Colombia. You just heard that the Colombian Supreme Court in May 2018 recognized the obligation of the state to protect citizens, but also the living, from the climate threat. Its decision, for me, is historical in two ways. It recognized two new subjects of right: future generation and physical non-human beings. In Western law, unborn people have yet no rights to be given and are therefore not protected against the consequences of the decisions we take today and in the near future. Transgenerational rights confer on present generations the duty to protect the next ones. This is what the Colombian Supreme Court understood. But it also understood that to prevent further disasters, we need to protect the rights of nature and its intrinsic value. Recognizing the rights of nature gives us the opportunity to protect the ones of future generations, human and non-human. The Amazon forest and its indigenous protectors are in great danger today. We should protect the Amazon forest in all countries where it grows. We need to recognize its rights in order to stop the ongoing ecocide. Destroying the Amazon forest is a huge threat to the safety of the planet. Thank you.
I thank Ms. Cabanes for her contribution and for aptly depicting the interconnectedness between planetary forces, ecological limits, and human normativity, showing that those human societies that fail to recognize the interplay of such forces are unlikely to survive over a long time.